All right, thanks, Godfrey. The government of the Bahamas is holding a 2-day transforming government workshop. And guess what? That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about this transforming government workshop. And so we're so very pleased to have our very special guest, Gowan Bo, who's an accountant. And of course, he wears many hats, but I'll just leave him as accountant this morning. We have Samantha Roll, who's from the Prime Minister's office and the project coordinator. And of course, we have Felix Stubbs, who is also associated with the project. So to all of you, welcome.
Thank
to
you.
Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump straight into the fray then. And I'll throw the first question to the loveliest of my guests. And that is, why is it important to have this right now? I mean, there's been a lot of buzz about transformations, both as a people and as a government. Why now, though?
It's important now because as we're in the process of developing a national development plan, as phase 1 culminates into a State of the Nation report, one of those pillars, key primary pillars, is governance, right? And in order for us to move together as a country and a nation, we need to understand our public sector, we need to understand how do we invoke effective and efficient governance, hence the reason for transforming public service.
Hasn't all this been studied before, though? I mean, how many times have we looked at transforming government? This is not the first time. So what makes this different, whereby positive results will come out of it?
No, and I'm sure nothing that we've done has been done one time only, right? We've always been able to move things as things transform and as things move forward. We've always been able to examine some of the variables of those components. And what it is that we have to have a continuous look and a continuous view in anything that we do. And as we move in this very, flexible or nimble society, right? We have to continuously look and develop. And then I think the key word that you want is execute. I think we need to move beyond doing a diagnostic of whatever it is that we're doing and then execute. In order for us to do that is we need to get all stakeholders and players in the room talking about it and on the same page.
Well, Felix, who should be attending this? Is this by special invitation only, or is this open to stakeholders?
Well, the workshop is primarily for government employees, the senior members of the government employees. And the reason why it's important this time is, what's different is the country's embarking on a national development plan.
All right.
This is the first time since independence where we actually putting together a plan. And for our country to move forward, planning is important.
Yes,
and
it is.
part of making a successful plan is to ensure all your stakeholders are on board. The public sector is an important component, just this workshop.
Who are some of the presenters or speakers? Or if that's the format. Maybe you should tell us the format, and then if there are speakers, then you could give us an idea.
Samantha might be better able to tell you that.
Yes, there is a format in terms of the 2-day. And what we wanted to do is focus on a center of government approach to policy making. And so where it's a part of strengthening the office of the Prime Minister, making sure that all of these various national projects from various ministries and agencies are properly coordinated together, and we're all doing things to remove duplication. So some of the speakers included, along with some of our strategic partners, such as Gowan Bo. Gowan Bo is one of our speakers in day 2.
I see.
Yes, and one of the topics, or his title, is Management for Results, or Managing for Results. Other speakers we had is a Dr. Rodney Smith, who spoke about the transition to university. College of the Bahamas is a very important partner of ours as well in terms of this process. We've had also the Inter-American Development Bank that spoke on some of their key national and partnership projects with the Bahamas.
I'm sure. But from your perspective then, as a part of your presentation, what are you expecting to come out of this then?
Well, you can see the exuberance and Samantha exudes with the whole element. So we've already transformed government because we have a new salesperson for it, right? But I think, it's been said, a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? Anton de Saint-Exupéry. But in reality, because we're moving into a national development plan, it makes no sense if we don't have the persons who can actually execute it. I think there's going to be a lot of work going into it. Samantha, Nicola, and the Secretariat, led by Felix, are really focused on, let's get all of the information and put together something that we as a country can feel proud of, but identify ourselves with and move forward. But if we have that plan and we don't start to educate and start to change the mindset and culture of those who are responsible for executing the plan, then it's really just going to be an exercise in futility. So we're really looking at this as saying this is a comprehensive reform package, if you will, in that regard. So it is to build excitement around the plan, but it is also to practically now put it into perspective. So persons who are going to be on the front line appreciate that, look, it's now about service delivery.
Okay. I think that's what Anastasia opened the show up with, with her commentary. It's interesting. So now that you've said all that, does that mean we don't have to attend today and listen to your...
No, you can. Well, I mean, I'm merely facilitating and going on as one of the presenters.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we contribute, and there has to be a two-way dialogue. So certainly we're expecting to see the senior persons there, you're expecting to hear their challenges and concerns. And then when we're talking about it, I'm a stakeholder from the perspective of I'm one of the recipients of the services.
Indeed.
And so whilst I may come with a certain skill set, in reality I'm bringing two sides of it. These are the things that I would expect from a private enterprise, but more importantly, what are your concerns and how do we get it right?
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. We understand, Felix, that the Prime Minister hinted at this or in his address yesterday. Is this a part of an overall plan to transform everything?
Yeah, in fact, we need to transform the entire country. This is why we're looking at this national development plan. Our challenge is going to make sure that we get all the stakeholders involved. That's the politicians, the public service, the constituents, in general, the society in general. I always thought that we would have a major challenge getting the politicians on board.
Yeah.
I think we have a bigger challenge getting the public service on board. But I think if we get the general public understanding what we're doing, supporting what we're doing, they're going to put pressure on the politicians and the public service to get on board as well. And it's very important that we do this if we're going to be successful moving forward. Because when you look at other countries who are doing very well, they have national development plans which they follow. I mean, it makes sense for us to copy and do the same thing. And I think Gowan put it very well. If you don't have a plan, we really don't know where we're going.
Yeah, you need a goal, else it's just a wish. It's an interesting phrase. Let's talk a little bit about the end product deliverables. At the end of the day, is there a document that we're going to get called the National Development Plan of the Bahamas? Will it be available to members of the public?
Well,
how will the dynamics of that?
Well,
or will it be
if I
top
may
secret?
Let me
Only for the eyes of the permanent secretary and undersecretary only.
I'll make a couple of dinners back. That's Samantha finished it. But what we're in, the phase we're in right now is we're doing what we call a diagnostic phase.
Okay.
We're trying to understand where we are.
Yes, sir.
And we're hoping that by the end of July, maybe first week in August, we can come back to the nation with a State of the Nation report saying, here's where we think we are, here are the gaps, and then we know where we need to go. Then we go to phase 2, which Samantha can talk to, and phase 3.
And just to add to Mr. Stubbs' comments in terms of the diagnostic, you had mentioned earlier about haven't we studied this before, and you're absolutely correct. There are some areas to where we have studied this, to where we have some existing strategic plans, reports, all these diagnostic studies, and part of the diagnostic phase is to cumulate those things and do an analysis of it though, right? Because what we've realized is that we have these things sitting, collecting dust somewhere, but we haven't really put it to use or analyzed it to how it can then benefit us in the future. So as Mr. Stubbs had mentioned, we then will create this State of the Nation report, and it will highlight a few things that we have identified in 4 key pillars. One being the economy, one being governance, hence transforming government. The other has to do with infrastructure, which is not only natural but built, so it includes the environment as well, and I'm sure that would put a smile on your face.
Thank you.
and the other is social policy, and social policy has a lot to do with health and health care, education, all of the social ills that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And then into the phase 2 is where we engage on a wider, a broader perspective, the public, because we have done in certain sectors already, hence you see. But in phase 2 we do engagements in terms of family island visits, and not just the regular larger family islands, but we go into the Cat Islands and the Mayaguanas and the Long Island, and we go and we talk to the people and understand where they are.
I got to interrupt you on that note, but thank you so much. I mean, you're so exuberant. I can sit here and just let you take over the whole show, but unfortunately the director will have my guts for garters, so that cannot happen. But congratulations on the workshop. Certainly, we wish you Godspeed and all the best. And we're talking with Gowan Bose, Samantha Roll, Felix Stubbs, all a part of transforming government. And it's an exciting time in our country, and only good things, of course, will happen to you now that you've been on Bahamas at Sunrise. Anyway, you're watching Bahamas at Sunrise, where, of course, we do this just for you. We'll be back after this.